to be humble, to be kind. It is a giving of the peace in your mind, to a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other and nothing more. And to be bold, to be brave, it is the thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see, a world that's full of endless possibilities, and heroes don't look like they used to, they look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
No matter who you are or how you make your living, no matter whom you love or how you experience the sacred, you will feel welcome here. And yes, I did get a haircut, and yes, it's a little shorter than I intended, but it's growing on me. We have a memory book in the back of the sanctuary every week. If there's something on your heart that you'd like read aloud during the joys and sorrows, our time of prayer in the service, you can write it in the book. You're always welcome to light a candle for a silent memory or prayer as well. We're in the midst of our worship series on embodiment, celebrating our holy bodies being courageously corporeal. And today is a special Sunday to kick off our stewardship campaign, which we're calling Wake Now, Our Vision. So you'll hear a lot more about that soon. We're going to do a lot today, so let's get started. Would you rise in body or in spirit, and we'll sing together, Morning Has Broken.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, summoned from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's the place. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
To begin our service, we remind ourselves that our church occupies land in Huchiun, the unceded territory of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people. May we have the humility and courage to do our part to restore what has been broken, and the wisdom to live into a new solidarity with indigenous communities and the earth. Now, with Reverend Marcus, let us kindle our chalice flame with these words by Maureen Killerun. In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be a beacon of encouragement that our values may guide our choices. Let us look first to the response of love. Now, would you please join me in saying our covenant? Love guides this church. The quest for truth and justice is its common purpose. To give thanks, listen deeply, speak with care, honor our differences, and seek and grant forgiveness. These things we covenant with one another.
Something is stirring, shifting round, it's just begun.
Edges are blurring all around, and yesterday is done.
Feel the flow, hear what's happening, we're what's happening. Don't you know we're the movers and we're the shapers? We're the names in tomorrow's papers. Up to us how to show up.
It's our time, breathe it in. Worlds to change and worlds to win.
Our turn coming through. Me and you, pal, me and you. Feel how it quivers on the brink.
What?
Everything gives you the shivers, makes you think. There's so much stuff to sing.
And you and me will be singing it like the birds. Me with music and you with words. Tell them things they don't know. Up to us how to show up. Our time, breathe it in. Worlds to change and worlds to win. Our turn, we're what's new. Me and you, pal, me and you. Me and you.
Me and you.
Me and you.
Me and you.
Me and you.
Me and you. Me and you.
Got a story to tell this morning. If any of you would like to come on and join me up here for it, I would love that. Anyone young of age or of heart, come on down, and we're going to tell a little story about a couple of bricklayers. Have you ever laid bricks? I wouldn't imagine. Have you ever done something where someone was like just telling you you had to do it, and you were doing it and doing it and doing it, and you were exhausted from doing it, and you didn't want to do it anymore, but you felt like you had to because someone told you to had to do it? You ever done something like that? Yeah? That's happened to you? Maybe not everybody, that's good. Everyone in the youth and children's choir, Katie says. Well, come on down. That's how this first person felt. There was a stranger passing by watching someone laying bricks. And that bricklayer was so tired and exhausted and unhappy. The person walking by could see how miserably he was just by the way he moved his arms. Every brick, and then the mortar, the stuff that sticks bricks together, and then the next brick, and the stranger said, "Well, what are you doing?" And he said, "Can't you see? I'm laying bricks. Would you want to be here all day, sweating in the hot sun, laying bricks?" No, of course not. But he kept going. And then the stranger came to a second person laying bricks, just a little bit further. But this person, have you ever done something, the same thing maybe, something that was kind of hard, but you were doing it because you really wanted to? Because you knew that like something good would happen at the end. So you weren't sure if you liked the thing itself that you were doing, but like something good was going to happen once you got it done. This second person, the stranger said, "What are you doing?" And she was just whistling to herself. It was like laying bricks was like a dance for her. She said, "I'm building a cathedral." And so she was. And soon enough, brick by brick, there was a cathedral, a beautiful cathedral in that place. And that second bricklayer enjoyed it the whole way through because she knew that what she was doing was part of a much bigger vision. And that's what this Youth and Children's Choir is going to do right now. Would you lead us in a little bit of song?
We can do that. All right, YCC, places. Yeah, good. Let me just... At this time, YCC would like to invite members of the Stewardship Committee to join me on the floor or up here to do head, shoulders, knees, and toes. The congregation is also invited from your places to join us for this song. And why are we doing this song today? Melinda?
YCC is here to energize you.
We are here. Oh yeah, let's do one more time, Melinda.
YCC is here to energize you.
Yes, we are here to energize you. So you're going to be energized by singing this song with us and doing the motions with us, right, guys? Are they? Okay. Yes, they are. All right. Oh, one other thing. Sorry. So just a reminder, in post-COVID times, we have learned that we do not touch our faces. We can point to our eyes and our noses, but we don't need to touch them, right? We're just pointing. Right, kids? Point. Okay. Just. All right. Start with
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
And of course, we had to personalize it. So we came up with, we'll go slow this start. And the stewardship committee doesn't know about this. Hair, hands, and hips and heart. Hips and heart. All right, let's sing it.
Hair, hands and hips and heart. Hips and heart. Hair, hands and hips and heart. Hips and heart. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Hair, hands and hips and heart. Hips and heart. That was the hardest thing I've ever
Thank you,
done.
YCC. Wonderful job. Thank you. Stay up here, and we're going to sing them out with a very brisk head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Let's go. All right.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. I'll never get that one. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Hi. Well, are you awake yet? I hope so. I'm Lisa Maynard, and I'm chair of this year's stewardship team. We have many members, and you'll get to hear all their names and see them in writing later. I want to welcome you to Stewardship Month of March, and to invite you to explore how we engage our minds, our hearts, and our bodies in taking care of our church, our community, and the world. We hope that after the service today, you'll join us in the atrium and see all the UUCB groups that are interested in engaging you, your participation, your volunteer work, your planning, your moving weeds at the work parties. All of these things are so welcome and so essential. Here to inspire us with their engagement are our board co-presidents, Helen Tinsley Jones and Pierce Sun Ho.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to see all of you. I'm Helen Tinsley Jones, and I'm very pleased to speak on behalf of the 2024 Stewardship Campaign, Wake Now Our Vision. Now, I have to say with honesty that when Sheldon and I first became members 8 years ago at UUCB, I really didn't know what pledging with regard to money actually was. The church I attended in my youth and young adulthood didn't have a concept like that. My confused interpretation was that I was being asked to write a check right then and there, which frankly made me hesitant. I don't know if anyone else has ever had that experience. I came to understand that a pledge meant a good faith promise of money that I would give to UUCB to assist the church in budgeting to support its mission, programs, and expenses. It did not require on the spot check writing, but did involve making my donation for the upcoming fiscal year. Since those early days, my understanding of pledging has vastly expanded. I've come to realize that it also means my donation of time and energy. When I'm pledging, and then when I'm making that donation of money, I'm saying this: I belong here. This is my community, and I'm investing in both our current programming as well as investing in the awakening of our shared future. I'm all in. Besides keeping the lights, heat, and water going, I'm all in for raising staff salaries. We now have some 22 staff, for supporting the work of UUC programs and activities. As a member of the Social Justice Council, I can tell you, for example, that the council has 6 sponsored projects. One of those, confronting racism and oppression, supports 4 active groups. I'm all in for Sunday hospitality's delicious lunches, personal theology's inspiring talks, kids scrambling for eggs every Easter Sunday, and so many, many activities and happenings at this church. And just think of where our mission and vision will take us in this next year, and our pledging will help to get us there. Please give you what you can. Every contribution makes a difference. Your contribution makes a difference. I'm all in. Please join us.
Do you remember what it was like when you first came back to church in person? For me, it felt a little strange. Like it had been a long absence, and I was still a little bit anxious about COVID. I had kids and things. But I had these butterflies in my stomach, the kind you get when you're really excited but nervous all at the same time. And when I sat in the sanctuary, I felt like the peace and the community of our church wrap around me like warm and familiar embrace. And do you remember the week that we called Reverend Marcus? I felt like I had been, and all of us maybe, had been like shuffling across a shaggy carpet, and every time I talked to somebody, we would like zap each other with a little bit of electricity about our excitement. There was like this tingly feeling in the air that I hadn't really felt in church in a long time. Like we'd been energized after like a long sleep. It was very visceral. These feelings are very visceral for me. My child, Melinda, they've been struggling for a while with anxiety, especially since COVID. And they told me recently that UUCB is a place where they feel safe and it feels inviting, When I send them down the stairs to the children's choir practice, I feel my heart warm up, knowing that they're going to a place where they're seen and heard and cared for in their entirety. And when we sit together on the grounds in our secret spaces, and when we walk the labyrinth, the tinsel labyrinth together in the quiet dark, I kind of feel this heavy, grounded feeling in myself, like we're sending roots deep down into our spiritual home. And we recently, during COVID, we joined the church's creek cleanups, and I could feel and see in them like a fire for climate change, growing and igniting, getting like a big blaze, which they carry with them, like to school. These are just a few of the things that make UUCB important to me and my family. This church was built on the love and generosity of many in the past, people who gave of their time and their talent and their treasure to make this place a true sanctuary where people can find a community and also a call to action. As the board's co-president, I'm now busier and more involved in more parts of the church than ever before, than I ever even dreamed I could be when I first joined. I feel pulled in many different directions, but somehow I don't really find myself wanting less of that, but more connection, more action. I find myself kind of leaning in towards others, which, to be honest, is actually kind of weird because I'm an introvert and I find that very off-putting. But I feel nervous and excited and energized all at the same time. I want to reach in to connect with all of you more deeply within the church, and at the same time, I want to reach out to bring more people into this wonderful place, even though that's scary for me. So that's my hope and vision for this congregation, that we're all leaning in together for community and strength, and we're reaching out for growth and action. I've found that by giving more of myself to UUCB, to support UUCB, somehow I become more as well, as if the giving feeds a fire first in myself, which then hopefully can ignite and warm and inspire others around me. So I plan to give as generously as I'm able, and I encourage all of you to do the same. Thank you.
I just want to make one brief announcement. Thank you, Helen and Pierre. With early pledges and several that have been made this morning right out there, our total so far has, I'm getting choked up, has passed the $100,000 mark. And this is just the beginning. Our goal is around $450,000, and of course it would be great if we got more because it will make us able to afford more things. So thank you to all who have pledged. There's opportunity to pledge out there as well as engage with all these groups, and a delicious lunch is being prepared for you by our wonderful kitchen team. Thank you.
As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down, down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray,
Invite you to take a deeper breath, to rest in your seat, to feel your connection down to this good, this holy earth. The jasmine is blooming pink and bright white against the blanketing gray outside the bedroom window. Sharp yellow daffodils remember sunshine, line concrete streets and muddy earth with the promise of resurrection already arriving. An awakening in me the memory of another bedroom window where, amidst the heartbreak of loss, a lemon tree insisted on reaching its round, ripe life toward me, waking my senses each morning to the call of an earth that keeps turning through even the harshest winters of the heart. God of jasmine and daffodils, God quickening in the blood-red blossoms of ribes sanguineum, pierce the grayness of our vision. When we have grown accustomed to numb half-living, when all our screens become a dampening shield holding life at a length removed, when too much hard news makes us pull our own gray blankets of cynicism and despair up over our eyes, beckon us with blazing prophetic color. And when the winter of war seems an endless promise of inevitability, may our despair be disrupted by the desperate call of a man who could remain complicit no longer, his voice ringing out an alarm as flames consumed his body, free Palestine. When the gap between the world as it is and the world as we know it could be, it should be, stretches to a chasm that seems it can never be crossed. Awaken us with a burning bush, with blood-colored petals, with a riot of daffodils, with the invigorating scent of jasmine or a lemon reaching toward a broken heart. Holy earth, wake our senses again and again. Prepare us once more for this daily communion of heartbreak and beauty. May we hold one another in this communion, in stillness, in quiet, together. In this community of care and witness, we hold one another through the seasons of our lives. We lift up today Catherine Hanway, who's grateful to have her husband Richard back from caring for his parents in Florida for 2 weeks. Roberta Shaw, who happily announces Frederick turned 94 years old yesterday, and he's here with us this morning. We celebrate today as the anniversary of the Montgomery March for Civil Rights with John Lewis and Martin Luther King Jr. Praise creation. And knowing joy and woe are woven fine, we offer prayers with Karen Elliott for Joe Elder, my mentor in faith-based social justice, who has entered his dying time. And with Nicole and Angela, a prayer for the complicated life of Jan Blair, who passed away suddenly today. Our love to her surviving friends and family. We recognize Justin Hardy on the 1-year anniversary of his mother's death. Though the disease of alcoholism robbed us of so much of what could have been, in the words of Ellen Tucker Emerson, I have not forgot the peace and joy. And we hold with gratitude for the inspiration and glorious fellowship, the great poetic adventurous of this gathering with Natika, and with Julia Rogers, gratitude for successful surgeries for my cousin Liz and friend Lynn this past week. For all that we have named aloud and all that yet remains in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, may we know that what each of us brings here is held in the loving embrace of this community, and by that wider love that knows no bounds, that cannot, that will not let us go. May it be so, and amen. Now I would invite you to rise if you are willing and able in body or in spirit, and we'll sing together, "Wake Now, My Senses."
Wake now, compassion, give
Do you know how to hula hoop? Yeah? A couple of you? I really wanted, almost, Greg? I really wanted to learn how to hula hoop in first grade. And so I was out on the playground at recess, and I had gotten a hula hoop, and I'm sure it was one of those flimsy, bend in it somewhere kinds of hula hoops, and I had gotten myself ready, and I knew there was something about your hips, so I tried to just kind of swing the hoop and twist my hips at the same time, and I didn't see the little girl who was standing right behind me, and I knocked her right over. She fell on the hard concrete ground of the playground and started crying. And I felt terrible, but immediately rushing over to hear of her tears was one of the yard supervision teachers who immediately saw this, oversized first grader and this little girl on the ground and concluded that I must have done something wrong and sat me on the bench for the rest of recess. And so I was feeling bad already, and then, the shame of getting in trouble. I was not the kind of kid who got in trouble. One of those moments, and I think they're moments probably we all have moments of learning to reel it in, to play it small, to play it safe, to keep our bigness, whatever that bigness might be, from touching the world in a way that might be dangerous to us. Do you know what I'm talking about? And maybe that's true nowhere as prominently as in our finances. I've heard an interim minister told me once that people would rather talk about their bowel movements or their sex lives in public than money. We do. We learn. We get these messages early on about how dangerous it is to talk about money. I remember it was the only thing my parents, they'd have fights about money, so I learned money was scary, but also it was the only thing they ever asked me to lie to the other one about. It was parking tickets. One mom, she would get so anxious about parking tickets. The other mom, if a parking ticket, you know how it's not just, you don't get just the parking ticket, it comes in the mail, the little notice about the parking ticket, and they were green when I was growing up, and so I knew to check the mail for the green parking ticket notices and hide them before my other mom could see them to make sure that spike of anxiety about money didn't come up. We learn about how dangerous the world might be. And then we do this. We get together in spiritual community to try and open up again, to play it a little bigger. We did that in my family, and we did it so much that one of my moms went off to seminary. And she was off in seminary, and she was studying about scarcity mentality, and how we need to transform this worldview of scarcity that's all around us. So many ideas we have about what's scarce and that there's not enough, and how it drives so much of our behavior. And she was learning instead we could have this worldview of abundance, that we could have enough for everyone. And how do we move our culture from a scarcity mentality to an abundance mentality? And she comes home, and at dinner that night, me and my brother, I'm maybe in high school, he's middle school, we're having a fight over the last whatever it was at the dinner table. I don't remember, a piece of bread or something. It was escalating, and so my mom, she slammed her hand down on the table. There will be no scarcity mentality in this household. And she still has not lived that one down. But this scarcity mentality, this playing it small, I imagine everybody in this room could share stories of how you might have learned these messages. And then I think maybe we've also taken them in, learned them as a people, as a religious community, if we could think of our congregation as an organism that maybe over time takes in messages like this. I've been listening to you over these last several months in these ground and horizon conversations, talking about the ground, the history of our congregation, and our horizon, the hopes and dreams for our future. There's still opportunities. We'll see another email go out this week. If you want to sign up and participate the next couple months, we'll have a bunch more of those conversations. I'd love to get to know you. If you've been here 20 years or 20 days, come and have a conversation. But in those meetings, I've heard, when I ask about stories from before your time, I've heard people talk about the earliest kind of folklore memories of the church, of its origins, don't go all the way back to 1891, when the church was started down on Bancroft and Dana, and now sits at the UC Berkeley campus as a dance studio. The history, the remembered folklore starts, the origins of the church start in the moment of losing that building and coming on up here. And I had this great narrative all put together about it, and it turns out it's not true, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway, and then I'll explain what's true. But so the great narrative was that, there was an anxious time in the history of the church. In the 1950s, it was an anxious moment in our society, and the loyalty oaths of the McCarthy era were being demanded of institutions all around the country, including churches. And this church said no. This church refused to sign on to those loyalty oaths at penalty of law, and took the battle all the way, and along with a few other churches, to the Supreme Court. I was told it was the Supreme Court of California. I just recently found a docket of the National Supreme Court that the case went to, and won. It was this compelling victory of standing up for our values. And then we lost our building because the university took the land by eminent domain. And the brilliant little story was that this was a retribution for this brave stand, but it turns out it had been in the works all along, and people had known for years that this was going to happen, and the church wanted to move anyway because there wasn't a big enough building. But the moment was full of anxiety. In fact, what I did find as I was looking for these records was that in 1956, right as all of this was unfolding, there was a period of time where it looked like the church was going to try and fire their minister. There were these hot letters going back and forth between congregants and the board and the minister, impassioned letters. There was one person, he laid out the case, he called it the big four against the little minister. Things had gotten that bad. And out of that anxious moment, there was this big split, this starting of the Berkeley Fellowship of Unitarian Universalists, still down there on Cedar and Bonita, the move to this land that was donated by the family of Bernard Maybach, who had already died at that point, but a prominent architect who was a member of the church. I don't know, but I wonder what lingering message might have come out of that moment about needing to play it kind of safe and small in a fortified concrete bunker of a building. I don't know, but I do wonder. We learn it in our individual bodies, we learn it in our group body. And we had anxious times then, and we have anxious times now. There's no one, as far as I know, trying to fire the minister, but there is a major chasm in our society, one in which we will likely be called on, if not this year, in the years to come, to take a real and risky stand for our values. What is it that holds us together, that leads us forth, connected to our values in times that are so anxious? I think it's mission. I think it's mission and vision. And I've been starting to reflect this back to folks after I hear these conversations. We might need to get clear about mission and vision. And I hear, yes, people agree with the idea with their words. And then I notice with their bodies, people are a little more reluctant, this idea of engaging in a process of discerning mission and vision. Lottie, on our Committee on Ministry conversation about this, she said, when I think about crafting mission and vision, it sounds a little bit like plucking my eyelashes out. And it immediately sounded right to me, because it's that trauma, a little trauma that many of us have had of these meetings of hashing out wordsmithing, least common denominator statements that we can get everybody behind and then sit on a shelf and don't really do anything. So what if vision wasn't this mental exercise of words that we had to struggle to formulate, but instead began in the body? What if vision began with this question of how do we free ourselves from the messages that we need to play small and play big instead? What if vision began with how our broken hearts have told us something about what we yearn and long for? One more money story. I was buying my first suit 15 years ago. I had just started seminary, and if you're going to be a minister, you needed a suit. So I didn't really want a suit, but I wanted to be a minister. So I went down to Men's Warehouse with my mom, and you can't just buy a suit, right? You have to buy a suit, and you have to buy the shirts and the ties and the belts and the shoes, and by the time we walked out of that store with 2 suits and all the things, I was spending $1,000 on clothes. I'd never spent $1,000 on clothes before, and there was an earthquake in Haiti that same week, and I sat in the parking lot of Men's Warehouse and wept. I couldn't believe that this call to ministry was bringing me to spend $1,000 on suits while people in Haiti were struggling to get food and water. But I did believe in this vision. I did know I needed to keep taking this step along this path. Vision was living in my brokenheartedness. This is how David White talks about it. He says, just beyond yourself. It's where you need to be. Just beyond yourself. It's where you need to be. Half a step into self-forgetting, and the rest restored by what you'll meet. There is a road always beckoning. When you see the 2 sides of it closing together at that far horizon, and deep in the foundations of your own heart at exactly the same time, that's how you know it's the road you have to follow. That's how you know it's where you have to go. That's how you know you have to go. That's how you know, just beyond yourself. It's where you need to be. Just beyond ourselves. Where is this road always beckoning? I just love that image of this road that has its meeting point at the far horizon and deep in the heart at the exact same time. Where is that in your life, and where is it in our collective life pointing us toward? I think we know that we want to be a community where people can come and raise families in this way too stressful world we live in. I think we know this is a place where we want people to be able to come and sit and restore their spirits, to feel connected to their deepest selves, to something holy. I think we know we want to keep taking those steps down a road that has been paved for a long time and will likely need us to keep walking down it a long time to come, to become that truly multicultural, multiracial, beloved community, to keep widening the circle. We know some things about our vision, We know them in our bodies, in our bones. And we know that each of us has some role to play in it, some call, some place where our own hearts have broken and that have led us now to try to meet the world's great hunger, as Frederick Buechner said, with our deep joy. Whether your call is to be an artist or an activist, an organizer or a teacher, a scientist, or a nurturer, or a problem solver, whatever your call is, it starts in that deep interior place. But it also has a point out there on the horizon pulling you forth. And together, we have a call as well. We have a call because we have a role to play in this broken-hearted moment in the world's history. We are needed in this time to be the Unitarian Universalism that we know could be, that we know should be. There were future people who visited an outdoor school that I used to work at, the Mosaic Project. Every morning, the people from the future would come. And the people from the future, on the first morning, they were all dressed in trash bags and those sunglasses that you get at the eye doctor that to keep the dilated vision. So they all looked exactly the same. And they came to the camp because they needed this group of people to learn to celebrate their differences. And their plea from the future was to make this celebration real so that the future wouldn't be so bleak. And the next day they would come back, and of course the kids had learned and the future had changed, and then it would be another issue, and kids would have to learn something else. Every day the future people would come till by the end of the week they would come to say, thank you. We're on a tour of the historical places of peace in the world. We've just gone from Gandhi and King, and we're coming by here to thank you for the work that you've done this week to learn about peace and diversity, to honor your differences, and deepen into empathy. It's the same kind of exercise that Joanna Macy teaches when she talks about this moment, this great turning that we're in, where she says we need to have a conversation with those who will have survived this time. Those children's children. And when I, at one of her workshops, sat across from someone who was representing that ancestor who lived in this society that had somehow made it through all of the crises and perils that we now face, the first words that came out of their mouth were, thank you. Thank you for doing your part to make this future possible. You, Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley, we are needed. The future is calling us now to take that step just beyond ourselves into a vision that can sustain generations yet to come. Let us steward this great gift that we've been given together, so that those who come generations from now may find there's still a place to connect with their deepest selves, to learn relationship as a spiritual practice, to connect with their call and help heal our world. May it be so, and amen.
We invite you now into the spiritual practice of generosity. Instead of passing the plate, you can give electronically by scanning the QR code on the back of your badge, or you can put cash or check donation into the donation envelope that you'll find in the back of the pew in front of you. Write your name on it and mark offering plate or pledge, and then put it into the donation box beside the fountain in the atrium as you leave the service. Each week, half of the offering plate is shared with a nonprofit Good Neighbor organization recommended by our Social Justice Council. Thank you so much for practicing generosity with UUCB and our good neighbors. Offerings of any amount are accepted with gratitude. Our good neighbor for this month is the organization Pogo Park. Pogo Park transformed two once abandoned city parks in Richmond's Iron Triangle neighborhood, Elm Playlot and Harbor 8 Park. These transformed city parks are now used as a vehicle for child development and community development, providing creative outdoor play as a vehicle to spark healthy child development. Thank you. Please join me now in dedicating our offering. We dedicate our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service.
about things happening in the life of our community this morning. Next week is our assembly of blessing bags. So after the service, our youth are putting them together, working with Safe Organized Spaces, our good neighbor partner from last month. So please bring, if you can, any unopened travel-sized toiletries, new warm socks, sealed snacks. You can place them. There's a blessings box in the atrium. And then the Sunday after that, come join us early, 9:30, for personal theology, because Bay Area monologuist Josh Kornbluth will be the speaker. He's going to be talking about some thoughts on empathy, both here in person and on Zoom. Please join us if you can. He's wonderful. I'm looking forward to that. I also just want to let you know, in just 1 month, the first weekend of April, there's a notice about this in the week ahead, and you can find the link to sign up there if you want to. I'm going down to Tijuana with about 20 or 25 people from Unitarian Universalist congregations around the area to help build a house for a family down there. I was asked to be the chaplain. If you'd like to join me, there's probably still room for a few more people, so let me know. Without further ado, would you rise once more in body or in spirit, and we'll sing our final closing hymn. It's 1028, The Fire of Commitment.
From the light of days remember, birds of Eden bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith and freedom fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul at ease, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flames that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Reach out a hand or touch a shoulder, an elbow. Let us be connected. There is a road always beckoning. When you see the two sides of it closing together at that far horizon and deep inside the foundations of your own heart at the exact same time, that's how you know it's the road you have to follow. May we follow it with one another. May it be so, and amen. Amen.